Got the chicken nuggets. Well, our next batch of meat birds just showed up, so let's go get them put into the brooder. All right, get pliers, knife, perfect. Hopefully they're all still alive. Cool. There's one down in there that's not doing too good. I think he's already cold. He's already dead. So. Let's see how many we got. That's 18 live ones. All right, so we've got 35 alive.
That's so sweet, Daddy.
Yeah, these two are dead. So we got 35 alive and 2 dead. All right, little guys, let's back up and get some water. Well, he's caught on pretty quick. Well, we got this batch from the same place we got the last batch, which is Myers Hatchery, and that's M-Y-E-R-S, not the M-E-Y. The last time we had great success. The birds did great. They showed up pretty quick. These were delayed about a day. I'm afraid we're going to end up losing quite a few of these, just the way they're acting. We're trying to get them water, and we usually just do water the first hour or two, and then we'll put food in for them. They seem to do better like that. But there are a lot of them that are not looking too good. So hopefully they're just sleepy or tired, but they don't have a whole lot of energy. So we'll have to check on them here in a few hours and see how they're doing. Man, we are so happy to have our fall meat birds here. The spring was the first time for us growing our own Cornish cross meat birds, and you know, we grew them up to 8 or 9 weeks, I think, and butchered them, put them in the freezer, and we still got plenty of chicken left. But we're sold on growing our own chickens. I am not going to be going to the store to buy meat that I have no idea where it came from or what's in it, or for all we know is grown in some lab tank somewhere. I am not doing that. I'm sorry. It's just, that's disgusting. So we're growing our own food here on our own farm, and we've got pigs, we've got chickens, we've got our cows for beef. So we're hoping to become 100% self-sufficient with meat here in the next 9 months to a year. That being said, animals are still volatile. Even though they're on our own farm, sickness can still happen. Lots of, lightning can happen. So you've got to have multiple sources of food just in case. With the way the food supply is these days, is very volatile. I do not trust that it's going to be the same and always be there. Who remembers the great toilet paper shortage of 2020, right? It was, nobody could buy toilet paper. It was a panic mode, just ridiculous. It was, in my opinion, all a fabricated mess. But we weren't too much worried about it because with a large family, we buy most of our stuff in bulk. So we had tons of toilet paper. We didn't even worry about it. It was no big deal. And it's kind of gives you peace of mind knowing, we're set for quite a while. So why not do the same thing with food? So I want to talk a little bit about food storage, food preservation, stuff that you can make last 25 years without any problem with dry food and stuff that you can control now. But we're going to go on in the house and talk about that because it is much cooler in the house than it is outside today. Welcome to the Maynard family kitchen. It's a lot cooler in here than it is outside. I'd much rather be inside. So let's talk about food preservation for just a few minutes. Throughout history, there have been hard times, there have been good times. You can look back in history. My favorite, of course, would be Bible times, right? Good example would be Joseph. His brothers hated him. He sold him into slavery. The brothers sold him into slavery in Egypt, and he became a slave. Ended up being falsely accused by one of the leaders there in Egypt. He was put in prison. Of course, I'm making a long story short. Ultimately ends up becoming the vice pharaoh in Egypt, and because of interpreting the dreams of the pharaoh was having, which we're talking about upcoming hard times. There was going to be 7 years of famine. So what did Joseph do? He recommended that they start storing food and putting food away, right? They put food away for 7 years because they had 7 bountiful years, and when the hard times come, it was no big deal, right? They were ready, they were prepared. Even people from other countries that were around them during this famine came and bought food from Egypt. So I think it would be foolish for us. A lot of times as Christians, we tend to think, well, the Lord's going to take care of us, and He will, and He always does. He takes care of His own. That shouldn't give us the mindset of just, we're not ever going to worry about it, the Lord will take care of us. I truly believe that we are to have faith, and I also believe that it's wise to prepare. So I wanted to take just a few minutes today to talk about some of the steps that we're starting to take and ways that you can take as well to kind of put food aside for future hard times. Because I think we can all agree, I don't think things are going to get a whole lot better here in the United States for us anyways. I think things are only going to continue to decline and get worse. One of the most common food preservation techniques is canning. We all do canning, right? This year we actually started making our own tomato sauce or pasta sauce for spaghetti, lasagna, that sort of thing. We've been canning green beans since forever. It's one of the easiest things to can. Spaghetti sauce takes a little bit more time, but it's actually very easy. I'm not a huge fan of spaghetti myself. My family loves it. We eat it quite a bit because it's a cheap meal. However, this year when we started making our own spaghetti sauce, I have a new love for spaghetti. So we were able to put our own herbs from our own garden into our spaghetti sauce. Our own tomatoes we use from our own garden. We know exactly what is in this jar of spaghetti sauce. We don't have to worry about any of these special preservatives, all this weird stuff they spray, nothing. Now, am I against spraying for bugs? No, I live in Florida, northern part of Florida here, we have terrible bugs. And you have to spray or you do not have a crop. There are certain things, but you don't have to use all the harsh stuff, and you know what you sprayed and how you sprayed it, and you can wash the stuff off good and make sure it's clean. When you're buying it from the store, you don't know what you're getting. So, highly recommend, even though it seems difficult, you can pretty much make your own anything these days because you got the internet. You can look up recipes even if you don't have a cookbook, and that's what we did for the spaghetti sauce. But what about some of these items? So this here, we use these large containers, these plastic containers for short-term storage. These are wheat berries. So we have our own wheat grinder. We get this in bulk. You can get this from Whole Foods or from Ward's. And we can grind our own wheat flour, and these containers do a good job of keeping it dry. We also use containers for baking soda, powdered sugar, cornstarch, cornmeal, that sort of thing. Flour, sugar, a lot of that stuff, we use these big food grade buckets. Right, so we order our stuff in bulk because we're a big family and we use a lot. So we use these big storage buckets here. Cocoa powder, salt, noodles, beans, oats, even tea. What do all these have in common? So a lot of these are all staples that can be stored long term, 25, 30 years. With the exceptions of flour. Flour is usually about 10 years. It's about the most you're going to be able to get out of it. But still, 10 years, I mean, who knows if we'll even be around 10 years from now. The Lord may come back by then. It's looking more likely every day. But with hard times coming, it's a good idea to start putting some of this stuff away for long-term storage and where it will keep. And we found the ultimate solution to that, and it's actually very affordable. Jars are very expensive nowadays. They're almost $1 a piece. You can fit the big ones, half gallon, as the most you can store in there if you were doing flour. And they make little gadgets that go on the mason jars, which are really cool, that will vacuum seal the mason jars basically. And that's a cool option. However, you're going to need a lot of space and shelving to store that many glass jars. So what's another solution? The 5-gallon buckets. That's another good solution. They make a lot of those, the prepper companies that fill the buckets with food, and you can buy those. Those are expensive, very expensive if you're buying food that way. If you're like us, we live paycheck to paycheck. So we like to be frugal with our money, and we want to come up with ways that we can afford that we can put food away. So without further ado, let me show you what we got. Behold, the mylar bag. So we've got two different bags here. So these are 4x6, 6x9, and 10x14 inch. And then these bad boys are 20x30.5 inches, which are 5-gallon. These will actually go in a 5-gallon bucket, and you can store your food inside a 5-gallon bucket with these. The cool part about the 5-gallon ones is that you don't have to have the heavy-duty food grade 5-gallon buckets with the screw-on lids that cost an arm and a leg. You can just go to the hardware store or Walmart or anywhere and just get a regular 5-gallon bucket with a lid. Costs $3, $4, and use one of these bags inside of it and fill it up. And you've got a rigid, stackable way of storing the food that is airtight and will last 25, 30 years. So the bags cost 30 or 40 bucks for a pack of there's 15 in the 5-gallon, and there's 100 in the smaller bags. So these, the 100, they're pennies basically per bag, and about 50 cents, 40 to 50 cents per bag. And you got a way of storing food for quite some time. So let's open these up real quick and see what they look like. Okay, so these are oxygen absorbers. You're going to put one of these in each of the bags when you get your food in there, and oxygen is about 20% or so of the makeup of air. So you put one of those in there. You don't have to get all of the air out, which is nice, and these will absorb the oxygen, which is going to cause your food to go bad. So that's that. So these I think are actually labels, so you can label your bags. And here is, these are packaged nice. So these are the bags, the different sizes, and they are very heavy duty. Very, very, very heavy duty. That's awesome. So they've got a zipper, like a Ziploc, and if you're wanting to just do short-term storage, that's fine. The purpose of mylar is it keeps the light out and it keeps moisture out. These are the kind that allow you to be able to stand it up and fill it, but they also lay flat for storage, which is awesome. And then once you get your food in here, which we're going to demonstrate in just a minute, they have this handy dandy little heat sealer, and you will just seal it, heat seal it, and that way it's, because you don't want to rely on just the Ziploc. The Ziplocs are not watertight, or airtight necessarily. They can be, but not for long-term storage. So you don't have to use their sealer. You can use, if you already have a sealer, you can use it. You can use like the hair irons to seal it. They're pretty handy with all kind of stuff. But let's get some stuff in here and try one out. So we're going to try one of these medium-sized bags here. And I don't know about you, but when things get rough, I want to make sure I got some salt. So we are going to take this container and fill it with salt. I think I filled it a little full. There we go. We're going to zip this shut, which is nice because it makes it easier to... Now, if we were going to store this for very, very long-term storage, we would want to use one of these oxygen absorbers. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to open these up, but you get the idea. You would just place one inside the top of the bag, seal this off, and let's plug our heat sealer in and give it a seal. So to heat seal, you'll want to know what the thickness of your bag is. This is the 6x9 bag. This is 5 millimeters thick. I guess those are millimeters. I don't know the metric system. And you'll want to set the dial to the 5. That's the thickness of the bag. It's got a little light here that'll come on when we press it. You'll want to hold that down until it seals. So we're going to put this in here, just below the zipper. And we are going to press this down. That was super quick. Wow. That is cool. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it is sealed. So we can try the Ziploc bag, and that is totally sealed. And now, this can be stored like this for quite some time, just as it is, because there's no extra air getting inside, there's no moisture getting in to clump it up, and we can throw a label on here. Let me grab the labels. See if I can figure out how to get one of these unstuck. And we will put salt and the date. So that way we know when we bag this up and we can put it in storage. Next we'll fill one of these little guys. So the little guys would be handy for stuff that you don't need that much of at one time. Yeast, cocoa powder. We're going to use the cocoa powder in here this time. Of course, I'm making a mess. That packs down nicely, and then that can be stored just like so. Lastly, we have the largest of all of them. This is the 10x14. It's 7.5 mil thick. It's got the gusset bottom. This would be good for beans or seeds or even rice. I've got some rice here. We're going to dump in here. So that's 8 cups. So that's 16 cups. That might be a little bit too full. Actually, I don't think so. I think that'd be fine. So that's 16 cups of rice in that bag there. That's the 10 by 14. So that holds a lot of food. So this is one of the 5-gallon bags. These are huge. I mean, that's impressive. You're going to be able to store a lot of food in there. Whatever you would store in a 5-gallon bucket, you could fit in this easily. And I mean, there's tons of room in there. Tons of room. So now the kicker with all of this is you want to make sure, I mean, you're trusting your life to your food. You want to make sure you get these from a good source. From what the research I've done, Wallaby seems to be one of the best, if not the best, source for the mylar bags. So I am going to drop a link down in the video description to Wallaby's website. That way you can go check out all of their products if you're interested. I'll also drop a discount code because they did give me a discount code for their products. So if you want to save some money, just click on the link down below in the description, type in that coupon code, and get your own bags coming. I think this is a very, very inexpensive way to preserve food long term, and it's affordable to anybody. It's pretty sad that we even have to talk about putting food away. I mean, we live in the United States of America. For years, we've been one of the most bountiful countries in the world. And to think that we've come to this point, it's pretty sad. But if you read the Bible, you know this is coming, and it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. So why not, while we have the chance, start putting food away and preparing? Because I don't see things getting any better. And it's not doom and gloom. It's just reality. So my family, we're going to start putting food away little by little as we can. I do plan on building another pantry off of the back of our house to store food in for the time being. Eventually, when we can afford it, I really want to put in a cellar, underground cellar. That way we can store food down there and it'll maintain a somewhat cooler temperature year-round, even if we don't have electricity. So I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Don't want to have a depressing video. Just look at it as we're given an opportunity now to prepare. Let's prepare. So go check out Wallaby. Like I say, from my research, they're one of the best companies out there to get mylar bags. You want to get them from a trusted source, and they're super affordable through Wallaby. So go click on the link down below and get your bags coming now. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.